New York Times sues the Pentagon. According to the New York Times, the paper has sued the Pentagon over sweeping new rules that would effectively put the military in charge of what journalists can report. Under Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, reporters must sign a 21-page form limiting what questions they can ask and which information they can publish. Violating these rules could get them stripped of credentials, even if the reporting occurs off Pentagon property. Dozens of veteran journalists have already surrendered their badges, and their press room spots are being filled with pro-Trump outlets more eager to echo talking points than scrutinize power. Times attorney Theodore Brocious argues the policy shreds the First Amendment and gives the Pentagon unbridled discretion over press freedom. At stake is a fundamental question. Will the military control which truths the public is allowed to hear about America's wars? Okay, what's the real message here? Pete Hegseth is a little bitty baby boy, and he's afraid of tough questions. He's afraid of real questions. And he's trying to tell reporters, you're not allowed to ask me real questions. You can only say what I want you to say. Thankfully, the New York Times is saying, we're calling BS on this. We are suing you. And if we still have any judges with even a single shred of integrity left in America, the Times will win, and Pete Hegseth will be laughed out of court with this ridiculous policy he created. Let's dig a little deeper here. Okay, I'm here as a sane, sensible centrist. And on many, many issues, I'm profoundly conservative. I actually happen to respect the Constitution of the United States. And in this case, it's quite often unclear as to what the founders intended, their so-called original intent. But there's not a lot of confusion over the First Amendment. It's first. Congress, the government can't make laws restricting the freedom of the press. The press has the right to ask any question they want of the defense secretary or anyone else. And it's an absolute atrocity that the Defense Department tried this. So again, here's where I'm going to be fair. I'm going to upset some people on both sides. So you heard me saying I think what Pete Hegseth is doing is an atrocity. That may have offended you. Now I'm going to offend everyone else. I think his role model, frankly, should be Donald Trump. Donald Trump, for all of his faults, is wildly accessible to the media. He takes questions constantly. He's more accessible than really any president in the history of our country that I can think of. He's constantly talking to reporters. He doesn't tell them that they can't ask certain questions. Now, you can, of course, fault Trump for lying to the press. I don't condone simply lying to the press, but I do give him a lot of credit for being totally accessible. Talk to any tabloid reporter who worked in New York City in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, they tell you no one's easier to get on the phone than Donald Trump. Many, many reporters to this day have his private cell phone. I don't have it, nor would I be calling him. I'm not reporting here. I am providing news analysis. But this is a very high-handed, ham-fisted technique that Pete Hegseth is trying to do that's really more reminiscent of totalitarian regimes. I mean, this is the kind of thing they do in China. We're supposed to be better than that. This is the kind of thing they do in Hungary, in Turkey, in other right-wing, authoritarian, in some cases, fascist regimes. It's not supposed to be what happens in the United States. Let's go over a few more facts of the case here. Reporters are asked to sign a 21-page document restricting their basic news gathering if they went into the Pentagon. Thankfully, in this day and age, you can be a great reporter and do things through this modern invention known as the telephone and the internet. So we are still learning about what's going on in the Pentagon, things like Signalgate, things like blowing up non-combatants and then blowing them up again in the Caribbean. We are finding out about that, but unfortunately not from reporters who are, in theory, better positioned to give us the skinny on things of the Defense Department because they're right there. So this is not purely an ideological thing, because it's not just that ABC, CBS, and CNN has said they're not signing. Fox News has said they're not going to sign this. I mean, to quote Gavin Newsom, who called yesterday Fox Pravda, if you are so extreme that what many people consider state TV, Fox News, if even the people at Fox are saying, even we can't go this far. We'll toady a lot. We'll carry water for this guy. But even we won't sign a document like this that completely castrates us and destroys any semblance. You don't even have the pretense of a free press, of journalism, if you sign this document saying you're not going to ask them any question they don't want to be asked, and you're not going to report on anything they don't want reported. There's a word for what this document is. It's a perfectly fine document if you are looking to hire public relations professionals or public affairs professionals who work for the government or on the government payroll. That's fine, and that can be an honorable profession. I've been a paid spokesperson for federal government officials as well as state government officials. There's nothing wrong with that, but no one should confuse that with being an actual reporter. No one who knows anything about our country's conservative traditions would ever confuse the two.